Hey there, look at that, brand new distro. Hey there, furries and sickos, I'm your host Clarke Macbeth, and what you're looking at right now over there on monitor 2, which is also the background of this, and also a live camera feed of Minneapolis. So like you have the whole thing being the weather report, the ticker of the news, and the time and the temperature. That's pretty neato burrito. I do believe that one makes commercials from time to time, so you know what? I'm gonna switch this over real quick with this here handy dandy remote control, which is attached to the second monitor, which is also a Samsung television, but it's not displaying that, it's displaying this part right now. This is a wacky, we live in a wacky situation right now. I'm also gonna put it on the one that's actually gonna load. There we go. ATSC1. I'll stick with that for now. Now, the reason I'm doing all of this AV wizardry is because, let me see if I can get it running on ATSC3 now, on Next Gen TV. Hold up, guys, I just gotta move the antenna here for a bit just to get the channel 2.5 somehow. Maybe I'll put it in this here saucepan with a hole on the bottom that was a gag gift at a family reunion, but now serves an actual practical use, except I'm not really satisfied with those results. I'll just put it back there. Let me go into the Linux terminal and show you what all of this is about. This is NixOS. I can't really fast fetch it for you yet, but I can show you the config I have right now. It's not too different from the default. What I'm going to do here is sudo nano etc NixOS configuration.nix. It's one of those special textual files that need a special way for the processor to read it. So that's the difference between a .nix, .text, .srt, which I used in the hard captions of this video, and so on and so forth. When I hit enter, it's going to ask for my very long password. Then it's going to pull up this massive clunker on a file, and let me just turn off the TV here real quick and get you a better look. There we go. This is the configuration file that has the most important settings and setup options you're going to want in your system, and that includes the packages. So what you have here are things that can be changed, and there are comments that are outlined similar to the notation you would use in Python. Hash bootloader, I'm going to do EFI. I chose the latest kernel, not the LTS. I want to have all the hardware compatibility up front that I can. Please and thank you. It's got the kernel packages. I can change the host name here. I might want to do that to throw off the trail of Christian terrorists, of which I hope Network Chuck isn't one of them, but you know, I don't watch him for politics. Like, it's like a pact between Linux, YouTube, and Linux itself. Like, we're not gonna do the things we do purely for political purposes ever, and if we do, we're gonna strongly condemn whoever is responsible for Ex Libre, because that guy is wackadoodle and is only doing it for political purposes, and he's doing the cheeky the cheeky and not at all clever, really troll behavior of, well, this isn't really about politics, I just think we need to continue X. No, we do not. Absolutely not. I'm using Wayland and I'm sticking to it. I don't care if it's slightly more difficult. I'm sure the president already ordered him to put a backdoor in that. Anyway, I'm going to hostname this, Minnie. You know, something that just looks normal in Minnesota. And that's kind of what I call my system, my whole network of devices, Minette. Kind of sounds similar to Minnesota's IT Services Division for the state, Minute. Anyway, those guys definitely need to go get on with open sourcing their shit, given how much they're being cyber attacked, because Minnesota is the perfect counterexample to every lie every tyrant has said over the past 50 years or more, and all the consent they've attempted to manufacture. I do not digress on that. I just want that to fester into your minds. That really is the situation going on right now. And if you don't believe me, maybe look at some information that's a little outside your comfort zone and do some searches on DuckDuckGo instead of Google, since they're trash anyway. I have X server here, and I'm going to practice what I preach. False. You can set the language. I have it set to international. I don't see it reflected in here. But this isn't the stuff. Oh, there it is. This isn't the stuff that you're going to look at too often. Like, a lot of the obvious stuff is already set up. Pipewire, true. Security from rootkits and pulse audio, everything you would expect to get KDE going. And this is like the most bare bones KDE that you could possibly install. Other than OBS, which I needed to film this, which I did make a change in here to install, and I'm going to show you. That is the whole magic of this thing. That is the dark magic behind NixOS. That is something that any sort of big brother government is going to be scared shitless of, as I am going to describe and in some cases show you, and in future videos show you even more. Subscribe if that's the kind of stuff you're into. Like any Linux YouTuber, I'm gonna throw in a few political things as an aside. Network Chuck does it, DistroTube does it, I'll do it too. But as long as you're as open-minded as me on those opinions, I do not care where you fall on the political spectrum. Just be respectful, okay? I have the installation for Firefox here, and I'm going to comment this out. It's, and I have a reason for that. I don't really like the direction Mozilla is going. There's my veto. If they do become a full non-profit, which they should be, I will change that back. But for now, absolutely not. Allow unfree packages. I set that up in the wizard. By the way, for those of you who are struggling with the wizard and getting the network to work, I'm not going to troll you. I'm not going to make you wait. I am going to show you right now. There is a very easy way around that if you want this to work with Wi-Fi. It wants you to go a slightly more secure route and do that a bit deeper in the system. And I kind of understand the logic there, given how easy it is for that stuff to leak on the surface. So what you do is NM2E, the terminal user interface for the network manager. You can use a mouse or a keyboard, except no, you can only use the keyboard. Down, enter, go pick SSID from there. Since you want me to point at the thing on the screen instead of where the screen is in my room. And from there you'll pick a Wi-Fi network. Now this particular machine is running Ethernet through a dongle. Man, those things have gotten impressive. Did you know that they have ones with GPUs in them now? I want to see dongles with replaceable GPUs that are full and have also a massive USB hub and other things like these. Anyway, from here's where you would pick your Wi-Fi. You would hit enter, and you would enter your password, or you would go to the router, you would press the Wi-Fi protected setup, the WPS button, and hold that, and when it blinks, then you would pick your network and it would go from there. And that's what you would need to do if you're installing NixOS with Wi-Fi instead of a wired connection, and you will also need to do this after the install to activate a wireless connection so that others will not snoop into your system. This is a very deliberate thing, and I'm in favor of it. I just wish the GUI side of that worked in the exact same way, but it doesn't. It can automatically attach to open networks and do that crazy stuff. Not so with NixOS. So going down, some programs need SUID wrappers. I'm not going to mess with this until I absolutely need it, so I'm not going to do that. It looked like this before, but I removed the comment, so now I have access to SSH. That might add a bit of time to the rebuild, but I think it's worth it. I do want remote access to this thing if I were to ever go to another state, even at this point, or another country, because I gotta get my fix of naughtiness, and SSH could give me secure, untraceable remote access to my spank bank if I'm going to a furry convention in Atlanta or Texas. Foreshadowing. And then I don't have to do the face scan or any of that bullshit, and I'm sure within a year or two, Minnesota's going to pass laws that are the opposite of what is going on right now, and I might be one of the people that, might be one of the lawmakers that do that. Another foreshadowing, and that's where I'm going to leave that. That goes to my other main channel, and you'll find it if that's the kind of politics you're into, but if not, this is still very useful information. Now, this right here is what you want to look at. NixOS is a very privacy-friendly operating system just because of how it fundamentally works. It's a bunch of different layers on top of like a fixed wheel. And you describe this, everything you want, and it at first looks like this. Just to give you a little help, little guide. That's commented out now. If I were to run the rebuild function, and I'll show you how to do that in a bit. If you're running the rebuild function like this, it would disable wget. This is how you enable it. Also, for text editor, NeoVim. I'm just going to do new straight up NeoVim. I'm also going to have LibreWolf and Florp. Florp is for casual browsing. LibreWolf is for private. It's like Brave, but Firefox. It uses the Firefox engine and is open source in every way and is not doing creepy stuff like the BAT token. It's not really for crypto bros, so that's kind of why I like that more. And just from here, you can just keep making a list of the Nix packages you want, and Nix is the biggest package manager. Now, allow me to enlighten you. Let me turn this on. And now, all I have to do here is hit Control X, capital Y for saving the modified buffer, enter, so it does, and then sudo NixOS rebuild switch is going to redo the entire system based on my instructions. Now, here it is. It's doing the thing. It's building the system configuration. It's commenting. It's disabling Firefox for the moment. I might need it for some applications anyway, even though I have other browsers. Sometimes Linux just does that. But in any case, yeah, there it is. It's taking everything that these programs need. It's giving them their own little library, and it is copying these bit by bit. It is doing this in a way that is more stable than RPM packages from Red Hat and their derivatives. It's doing it better than a Flatpak would. I mean, it does some of this stuff, but this is like the absolute logical conclusion of that. It's putting every program in its little thing with its own libraries. It's not even sharing those libraries unless they really are shareable, and you explicitly tell it to do that, which is above and beyond Flatpak. There's no dependency hell. It's copying a bunch of paths, and when this is done, it's all really easy to undo. It's making a new version of the operating system as I speak right now. And that's going to go in a separate area. And if this were to somehow break, I could roll back to a computer that is actually in a functioning state. That does sound like the opposite of the economic model of big tech, doesn't it? Yeah, and it can take a little bit, especially if you're doing multiple packages. So I'm gonna remove my head here for a bit and just let it do its thing for you. Maybe to a little bit of pleasant music, who knows? Never mind, that did not take nearly as long as I thought it would. Almost worthy of a jump cut, if I say so myself. So now it has a new configuration, and that is the current system as it stands. Even as I'm recording on OBS, I don't need to restart or do anything like that, and that is amazing. Now we have Florp, which is Japanese. I did say furries and sickos at the beginning of this. Weebs are also... I tolerate them, okay? So if you want to install even more Nix packages and you're not sure about their name, search.nixos.org will put you directly there. Now, whatever you want, here it is. This is all the programs, 120,000, way over Flatpak, way over the ArchUser repository, either 2 or 3 times, depending on the time that data is compared side by side. I used to use Zen, but Florp is pretty much the same thing and adopted Zen's best features anyway. I know this, I think there is a way to make the tabs vertical too. It is a feature-rich browser with a bunch of things you can tinker with. And, I like that, but I also would like to install some other programs. So let's do that. VLC should be self-explanatory. That's VLC, but there's also, like, you can do the binary build. You can get, like, the Apple on your NixOS for some reason, but no. Not doing that. You can have a BitTorrent plugin. I prefer KTorrent for those academic preservation projects. Thank you very much. So yeah, let's do it. Let's put the config file back. Go back into the config file. etc NixOS configuration.nix. This whole file is literally the toy chest. Right here. Right here. This is the whole toy chest. This is the programs. This is the setup of the chest itself. It also, for some reason, has a separate line for the KDE text editor, which I guess you need in the basic KDE setup, but we got these, and I can just type in VLC, and I'm going to do a bit more shopping here. Alright, let's see what I have in the list of programs that I want it to install and completely refresh the operating system with. I want NeoVim. I want wget. If it doesn't have any of these already, I want OBS Studio, LibreWolf, Florp, VLC. I want the Tor browser. I want to browse privately and anonymously and have a backup in case this thing goes down. And I am also going to do that with I2P, I2PD, and I2PD tools. I almost forgot I wanted to have KTorrent to share academic papers and preserve them, as well as other data preservation projects. I have Whisper from OpenAI. Yes, you can. Just download that. Whisper X. I have Ollama and Alpaca. Ollama with that's better able to handle what's in the iGPU. Alpaca. Oh, by the way, that reminds me. Also, Fast Fetch. Did I do that? No. There it is now. I have Camoso, so I can record without all this extra fluff if I ever feel the need to do that. Aggregator for RSS feeds, and also as a bit of a data science project I will be getting into soon. I have Calculate GTK, a more advanced calculator. I also believe you can add some extra functions, except no, or maybe you can. I'm also going to put in libcalculate, the calculate library with more advanced stuff. Darktable for photo editing. I have GIMP for more advanced image. Like, this is your basic photo editor. This is something more along the line of Photoshop. For video editing, including this video, I have Kdenlive. And Blinken, Axie, a couple games, Discord, Telegram. Steam is apparently a thing. I think that one works on the unstable channel only, as well as Waydroid for itch.io games, and also Fuck Collective Shout with burning coal up their asses. I look forward to seeing every member of this Australian Christian terrorist organization in hell. I will be the first man you meet there, and they're gonna let me go wild on you. And I will not hold back. GIMP 3 with plugins makes this redundant. Sometimes they're by version. I have proxies for Alpaca if the study of how people are ruining their own minds needs to be spread about more quickly and more secretly. And of course, Anytype. If I get over 100 subscribers, I will review Anytype. It is my absolute favorite open source application in general, and they're willing to move out of Switzerland to protect the data that goes through this, and Notion is already doing nefarious things. So great for AnyType and this Swiss company. Cast, Shortwave, Audacity. Speaking of Audacity, I mean it, collective shout. Back off. You do not have any right to tell anyone on the internet, whether in Australia or anywhere else, what they can look at, what adults. You have no right to take bribes from Peter Thiel so that he can rent-seek out his equipment to governments that belong nowhere online, and you are all shitty parents because of it. If you are in collective shout or think anything that they're doing is a good idea, you are a shitty parent. And that's just how it is. You do not deserve to teach your kids anything about Christ. You deserve to have them taken away from you and given to gay parents instead. I live in an anti-SLAPP state, so if any of their attorneys knock at my door, I am going to toss their papers in the recycle within their earshot and film it and share it online. Because that's what a safer internet for children really looks like. I put in Tor itself too, because it might be necessary to run the Tor browser. I have Vert Manager and QEMU to get that going. Thunderbird, Proton, encrypted email, Tor, and Simplex Chat, the most secure way to communicate online. It's a little tedious at the start, but once you get that going, it's like Telegram encryption on steroids, and they do not have to answer to anyone type of deal. And I do believe that is all a good deal. Let me exit here. Control X, Y, Shift Y, capital Y, right. NixOS rebuild switch. And it's building. This is going to take a bit. There it goes. Kind of. This is why the spelling is important, because there is no package for Telegram. I have to put in the proper name every time, or this is not going to go. But thankfully there is a place to search for it. That is search.nixos.org. So with this here correction, it should run now. And with this correction here, it should run now. It also won't run if it determines a package to be broken. I'm gonna do this alternate package, and now, of course, it should run. It should go. It should rebuild the whole thing. And while you're all waiting for that, I'm going to roll in the TV card and put it over my face. Here's the weather. Have fun.
modest tranquility. Said I made up my mind this time. I'm taking it over.
A really hot commodity these days. And that's took about a couple hours, I'd imagine, because it downloaded all the packages at once and installed them all at once, gave them their own separate part of the system so that it doesn't mess with me. And it also installed some command line things. Let's see what we have in the GUI part of this though. And pretty much everything I ordered. If I could just remove my head here for a bit. Everything. If I go in the app launcher, if I hit the super key, also known as the win key. Here we got all the applications. The crash process viewer, I believe, came with the system. I want to put my head up here a bit, but I want to move it to the other side. Alright. This might be the best place to put it for now. Yeah, I got Florp. I got these programs and applications. When I did run the configuration, it automatically made the default browser Tor, the Tor browser for some reason. But all I really had to do was hit super, default applications, and make some changes here. Oh, I forgot. I also want to put in KDE Connect. That'll be part of the very next video where I rice this thing out. But right now, I'm just showing you the basics and the fundamentals. The terminal I want is console. It will only be console. Everything here. Oh, OpenStreetMap. The default, by default. I don't have to change that. That is awesome. For some reason, other distros don't like it. Don't have OpenStreetMap by default, but this one just does it. And let's see what else I can do. I have Alpaca, which is a front end. It installed some terminal application. Let's see if it works. That's nice. Looks like I gotta have a tab. No, I don't. There's vid. There's vid. Okay. Or colon quit. There's that. A little task list application that I'll show you. That's a little better than, a little more user-friendly than Task Warrior, which came before. It helps you out. It's not just a terminal application. It's a terminal user interface. And it kind of has the aesthetic of an old DOS program. And it's pretty neat. It's portable. And it can go to GUI apps like Planify. I also ordered there. Let's see. Olama Serve. Now it's running with Rockham, with the AMD drivers. It's got the public key, which I don't really need, and I can download. I can now download. I can pull a bunch of AI models and give rebirth to Aurora Blaze on this system whenever I feel like it. Also, yeah, AnyType is on here. All the programs that I need are there. It's really hard to tell what's going to be permanent and what's not with the reboots. I did also reconfigure that clock over there because I like it when it looks like that. I don't know how much of this writes back into the Nix config, but that's just the basics of Nix. That's what I have. That's where I'm going to leave this for now. Also, I am going to show you the hardware I am running this on. Let's do a completely new tab. Fast fetch. There it is. There's the information. Here's what I got to say about that. NixOS Warbler 2505. I got a framework 13 with this processor. This main board further down for the processor. It's been up for 4 hours. That's the package. Nix packages. Display 1, which has OBS, and Display 2, which has all of this space behind. Plasma, Kwin, Wayland, and the themes Breeze. It's all the defaults right now. On these, I am going to change that. The CPU specifically is a Ryzen 7 7840U, 16 thread at 5.13 gigahertz. I believe I put that into gaming mode. And the GPU is AMD Radeon 780M integrated. Can play a fair bit of games, I think, just not some of the very latest AAA titles, if I recall correctly. Or, I'm really not picky with the games, as long as it's full HD, 30 frames a second. Then and it runs on that, then I consider that playable. I even like to troll some of the heavy intense gamers with I lock it at 30. Deal with it. I have the local IP here, which means nothing to you. It's got battery information, and it thinks it's off, but it does use the battery as a bit of surge power from time to time, especially if I'm running large language models. Here's what the HTOP looks like right now. Is the system monitor even installed? System? Oh yeah, that is, but let's do HTOP instead. Except that's not there. System monitor. I have to install HTOP. I'll do that in the config file. Yeah, pretty efficient. Way more than Windows, as usual, as with anything Linux. So, what makes this magical, really? Well, let me go back, and instead of doing Now let's do Vim and Vim. This also does the highlights. This very file means a couple of things. One, this computer is always going to be set up in a certain way, and it's going to pull it all together, whether it's here or whether I have this config in any other system. It's always going to work, and if it doesn't, then I have to comment out what doesn't. And this computer can have babies. Like, there are many ways where you can share with your friends how you have your computer set up, and I believe you can have this down to a granular level, like how exactly you set up KDE. You can now run that on someone else's system with a command like that, and it's even better if they have gigabit fiber internet. Maple Grove, please get that into your entire city as quickly as possible. We have that. We have... You can do a bunch of things in here. You can run little scripts with systemd in this. And if there is something on your computer, a program that you want to try out, you can use nixenv and it'll be gone by the next reboot. I believe that is how that works. And then after, let's say Big Brother comes a knockin' and you have something in your system that you're not sure. There's a home version of this where the home folder could have versions, and like whatever incriminating data you could roll back or roll forward. Well, you could roll back and have that incriminating data be gone. I'm not sure you can recover that in any way. There might be some way you could stagger that, but I'm not sure. But you can have rollbacks of your home folder and have that set up in your system, so it's like, oh, here's some data we're looking for. And you could say, no, it's not there, didn't have it, never had it, all because you cleverly ran a command. And with this, you can do that with programs, like if they're knocking and it's like, oh, you downloaded DeepSeek. That's illegal now, because there is a senator in Alabama who has a very, very small and is also doing lots of bribing time, and these companies, AI companies, do not want to have competition available in the U.S. and rent-seeking and bribing time, and now that's illegal because we said so, even though the Constitution and the Founding Fathers would clearly disagree with that. You know, there was bribing time of the courts too, therefore we need you to delete this now or you're going to jail for a very long time. At best. And while they're knocking, you can NixOS rebuild switch rollback. Oh, I never installed that. You take that trick that the government wants to play and throw it back at them. And NixOS has a lot of different ways to do that even I'm not aware of yet, but I look forward to looking into that and teaching you. That is the magic of NixOS. You can share it. You can even have your friend's config file and put that in a virtual machine that you can load. Like, you could have it on the standby for later, and if your friend updates that, then you can update that machine, and you can load either to this thing on the Surface or what your friend is running the last time you checked. You can share the experience of Linux and then kiss or something. I mean, they have the Pride logo up year-round now. I'm not kidding. That's another mad respect for NixOS, and that's why it is my favorite operating system, and that's why I believe I'm going to be sticking with this going forward. This is the Pride operating system. This is Linux for people who are just scared that someone's gonna come a knocking, or both, you know. I think you know. The very next video is going to be me ricing out this KDE and figuring out how to keep that booting over and over again, figuring out how to put that into the system, and teaching you how to do that so that you can reproduce your KDE ricing. KDE is just the ultimate ricing distro. Like, you start with this Windows 7 looking thing, and then you can just do so much. You can, do you want it to be floating? It's floating. Do you want it to be translucent? There you go. Now it's a bit more like Windows 7. The background, the theme, the widgets. I very much intend to go thorough, go ham into all of that. If that's something you want to see, as always, subscribe if you like and share if you care. Also, let me know what other Linux or open source toy you want me to cover next. I look forward to seeing you later. Bye for now.